And welcome to another exciting episode of Writing Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and with me is an amazing guest who I am beyond excited to have on here, and I feel is a wonderful treat for all of you out there. Many of you may know him, and those of you who don't, you're going to wish you did, and you will follow him now after hearing this. And he is an author of many wonderful books, and I could not begin to do justice to his biographical background. So I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only, the amazing, blessing, and grateful for his service to humankind, Dr. Richard Allen Miller.
Or you can call me Rick, or you can call me Late, or you can call me Al for dinner, but don't ever. Hi, and thank you for inviting me on. I hope to be able to open some doors for you and your listeners. That's my intent. Purpose, we talked about earlier. My intent is to always leave something better than I found it. I want to leave footprints. That's why I'm writing. Plus, I love to write. Okay, where do you want? Oh, okay. I'm different than most people realize. I'm gifted. I'm like a 4-year-old that never became 7. I have eidetic memory, which is different and better. In some ways, it's a photographic memory. And so the military used me early on. In 1960, I was almost 16. I was 15 and a half. Old man DuPont brought in Captain Crunch, Michael James Reconasuccio, and me to change NASA's bumbling of Greek mathematics into English code. I'm a polymath. I do mathematics. It just tumbles out of me. I don't know how that works. Stay tuned. Yeah. What the hell is that? What is that? Live from New York. I know that I don't know. What I do is mathematics. That's something I had. And we changed Greek mathematics into binary, what you call object-oriented, or not, which is actually nor, NAND logic. And then I studied when I was at MIT doing graduate work. I got Dr. Charlie Muses and Roger Penrose at Princeton. When I had Penrose in grad school, at Princeton, he had written a book called The Geometric Universe, and I have superseded that as one of my people I studied. I call it the dodecahedral universe, which will go there from now. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because space, like time, is not real. It's a construct in the way your mind works. And originally, it was called astrology, and that worked fine for centuries. And then it moved to astronomy, and that hit a brick wall when we discovered dark matter and what the heck's going on there. And now it will be called cosmobiology, the geometric relationship of of celestial bodies. When certain planets go in alignment or whatever, it's a switch going from here to there. And one of the studies I did in 1974, I took a PBY, an old seaplane, flew over the Oregon vortex at 15,000 feet with an interferometer. What bends light at 15,000 feet? Mini black hole. And I'm going to suggest that the ley lines and Bermuda Triangle are all a series of mini black holes in a specific geometry going into the outer. And here we are at the end of days, every 12,000 years, with the magnetic pole about to shift on Earth. All the other planets have already shifted. The sun just did it 6 days ago. And the only 2 planets that haven't done it is Earth and Mercury. Stay tuned, Bat fans. Same Bat channel, same Bat time. Who knows what's going to go on? We're just along for a ride. I think We're like sugar ants in Gaia's kitchen, where she does all her baking, the oceans, and plastic and everything. What do you think she thinks about that?
I think she's ready for it to be removed.
Well, there it is. Better living through chemistry. DuPont. There he is, just like it ever was. Oh, that's a different saying, isn't it? Same as it ever was. Is this my house burning down? There you go, talking heads out of Texas, just like you. I move pretty fast. I've got it. And the bad news is, I'll do it this way. Is the earth round or flat? The correct answer is yes, because physics always starts with an assumed truth. Shortest distance between 2 points, the earth's round, and you have all these doors to go through. Or if space is curved, I can prove with tensor math it's flat, and you have those doors to go through. If you use your mind as a tool, not absolute, you have access to all the doors. And that's what the real physics is about, trying to get there from here, because everything starts with an assumed truth. And once you realize that, you realize how limited you are. And anything that you could possibly imagine with God is what you personally are capable of doing right now in this lifetime. And God, you can't comprehend it. That's why you're not God. You can experience him, but you can't know him. Unlike a lot of religions try to say that crap. I go to all the different churches. I was raised in Northern Shaolin in the Philippines. Mom worked Indochina theater, and I was a little brat kid. She stuck me in Buddhist temple, and I was white, Caucasian. I learned how to fight on my back. They herded me like monkeys. I've got a really good story about that later. We'll talk about, you make a note, grizzly bears, bullwhips. That's why Indiana Jones carries that bullwhip. You couldn't carry a big enough ordnance if you went camping in Canada. If a grizzly bear decides to want to go after you, what are you going to do? Scare them? Yeah, that's actually how you do it. You snap a 16-foot bullwhip in front of him, and he can't figure out how you can reach that car. It spooks him.
That's good to know.
Yeah, but trust me when I tell you that. My father, my stepfather, he was wonderful. He taught me everything. So I'm like one of those kinds of physicists. There isn't anything I can't do, but there's always someone better. And I learned a lesson. How like Davy Crockett, I killed my first bar when I was only 12. I was a black bear up in Shelton. Dad cut its throat and wiped the blood out of it. We went hunting when I was 16 after Old Mo, which was a grizzly that came out of Canada, and the Okinawans preying on cattle. Get old and they can't hunt anymore, so they come down out of Canada. And I was a smart ass sharpshooter. I did anything I can't do. I'll just shoot his heart. A little 6-inch bullseye. You miss that. But he was running down the hill, so I couldn't get the heart shot. No problem. He's got a big spine on the back, big hump. I'll shoot down and lock him up. The problem was when I squeezed off the trigger, the bear lifted his head and the bullet hit him right between the eyes. I heard the bullet ricochet. My dad used a 400 Thompson slug with a 22 long rifle stuck in it. It blows the bear apart. He wasn't interested in trophies, interested in killing. And I learned a lesson, and I don't hunt anymore except when I need food. I don't do it for trophy, look what I can do. I learned some serious lessons like that. And being as good as I am in almost everything, I went to sport. I went to state in 2 sports during my high school years. And I was really good. Anything I did, right in there. I went to state, and one of the things I broke a world record, not a state record, a world record Didn't even place.
Wow.
That's it humbles you when you get to that level. I ran a 10 flat, and the world record is at 9.8 by Charlie Green and 4 other individuals. I came in 6th. I know. It's okay. What it has done is allowed me to know I don't know. You can't get there from here, but you want to know how to protect yourself in Canada, blah, blah, blah. I'm your Huckleberry. I know how to survive, and we're going to need that shortly. I am not kidding you. The Earth's magnetic poles, I did that study when I was the lead physicist at the Pentagon. Was that under Nixon? Oh, yeah. Yeah, what a creepy guy he was, man. And he got busted. I don't think any of them are right. How's that Kennedy? Happy birthday, Mr. President. I mean, they're all creepy. Maybe Harry Truman might have been a true sports statesman. I don't know about that. I met Harry when I was 4 years old, but there it is. I know that that's why I haven't gone into politics. I just would rather be a nerd and know my place in the scheme of things and try to do the best I can as a physicist. I've got 2 doctorates in physics. I've got 1 in Harvard Medical. I'm an anesthesiologist. And a 4th one is James Hillman. I'm a Jungian psychotherapist, imaginal psychology. And trying to soften my physics so that I have another unique way of approaching a problem that is unapproachable. Bigfoot grunt. And what do you think all that's about? Yeah, I don't know. It's paranormal. I watched a woman rip a car door off. We filmed it when her daughter was in a flaming automobile. Now, that's impossible. The adrenaline did not make her bone and muscle stronger than steel. How could she do that? And what I'm going to suggest, and that's what I'm doing now, is writing a new field theory on the multiverse, which will supersede my holographic universe that I came up with 54 years ago. And the multiverse, I don't think there'll ever be a theory of everything. Chapter 8 in my non-local mind book is titled The Mind's Eye, where imagination is reality. Anything you can imagine possible is that's when you see it in your mind's eye, that's what makes it real. And we don't have a clue. I know I don't. And I basically, my wormhole that I was talking to you about earlier in my latest book, The Diamond Body, that is me talking to myself by location, like the movie Lucy, except man can only do it one at a time with Rick Miller that didn't do this radio with you today. They all happened. Anything you can imagine. So it isn't the collective unconscious, the other 9/10 of the unconscious is more like other 9 million of you. That's how limited man is. And anything aliens, I'm the last remaining physicist to work Project MJ12, Majestic. And I've been to Groom Lake, and I have met Krill, level 8. I did that. I don't have much of a memory. That was a real strange event. But I can tell you what I do now. Anything with a face, 2 arms, and 2 legs that morphed out a little green men to our current list of reticulans, grays, Nordics, and midgets, whatever, they're all human. At some point, I've seen aluminum-based life forms. That's creepy. And that's probably why the Petri dish or soul is out here on the rim. We're not down in galactic center. Because once you go into physical space, as we define it, there's no shielding. No way you can go to Mars. When I did Ed Mitchell at Mission Control in 1971, the reason they have that serious kind of 5, 4, the reason they do that they have to punch a hole in the ionosphere before they set fire off that rocket down a canal road. You're going to have another challenge blow up. And Ed Mitchell just going through and just around the moon and back again. So it's 10 years of his life. You're never going to have children. Oh, it goes on and on. I mean, it's toxic. We don't have any shielding. What a neutrino, going through the earth. It's crazy. And people don't have a clue. Did we land on Mars when we said we did? No, of course not. That was a space race. We had to beat the Russians, of course. But we have been to the moon. And now, and the reason they did it that way is lands on who owns the moon? China? That's what they want to try to play now. They own California. Might as well take the moon in too. I don't know what's going on. I'm concerned. And the purpose of me doing radio is that I work for the military, but I'm 80. I'm over 80 years old, which means they can't pay me anymore. I'm a civilian. And there's the rules. If you're over 72, you can't pay it. They can give me perks, medical stuff, food. But the dancing gorillas down in the bunkers, that's awful. I was really trying to have fun down there because there's nothing else to do. I'm not kidding. It's creepy. And what's happening now in the world? I talked with David Morgan, a personal friend of mine up in Spokane. He has a Morgan report and he does his little Bitcoin crap, money and Goldfinger and our balance of gold on it. None of it's real. But everybody just blindly, okay. That's probably why money was never a primary goal. One of my favorite sayings is that ownership is enhanced when it's shared with another. It's not about having it, it's about being able to share it. That's where the quality of it comes in. And I know that there's going to be more for me to do. They wanted me to go to Saturn. Do you know if I go with that astronauts, I'd come back to meet your great-great-grandmother. Because just going to Saturn and back, time warps. And I've already got a TARDIS anyway, so don't worry about it. How's that one for a little introduction?
Man, I want a TARDIS.
Yeah, exactly. So what my purpose is to leave footprints. And I didn't know that writing was going to be my big deal. I've done everything in my life. I throw slate. I do everything. Finishing shop, woodworking. I had a 280Z, not a 280Z. I had the 280Z. Pit Crew Racing Chief, Ford Racing Team used that to go Pikes Peak, and they totaled it. I had it since 1985, and they totaled it for Thanksgiving, keeping me on a short leash. May I have a little more cheese, please, with my wine? Yeah. So I did all the paranormal studies during the 70s and 80s, early 80s. And then I did that and went into agriculture, farming, which is another one of my true loves. I like to rural way of living. I like that. And I did my undergraduate work at Pullman, Wazoo, and I can tell you, I did an undergraduate thesis. It was the first plasma jet ever made. And when I turned it on the whole campus, it was really funny. Because I needed exceptional power. I created a flame about 16 inches long. All my professors are watching me, and I'm thinking I'm going to blow up the generator. I created a flame that was 60 times hotter than the surface of the sun. And Giannini immediately took that to make space travel. That was in 1961. And 65. 1965. 61. I was in high school. I built a linear accelerator and created particles going faster than the speed of light. I've got pictures. And who beat me at the Nationals? Never been number one. Robert Strom, Univac. There it is, right in wing, no matter what I did. And back then, it was called Bremen-Strahlen radiation. And today, they have a different name for it. No, it's Cherenkov radiation. Back then, it's called Bremen-Strahlen. And they used my high school experiment in 61 on the Mariner 4 that flew by Mars in 64 to measure the water on Mars. What you do is beam down these particles faster than the speed of light, and they slow down in medium and tell you what's on the planet. And that's why in 64 we knew there was more water on Mars than there is on Earth, and Mars is a smaller planet. About 2 billion years ago, something happened. War, I don't know, that Mars and what is now the asteroid, and Earth was then colonized. And the team I took to Mars in 1983, we didn't even go to the surface. Well, because we didn't have we don't have any shielding and things like that. We went in underground caverns. The whole thing's collapsed, just like Earth is. I run bunkers now. You can go from Maine all the way down to Florida without ever coming above ground. And I can do the same thing from mid-Oregon all the way down into the Trinities. And in the Midwest, when I was working with Dennis Kucinich, I got to meet all those little bunkers. They're all over the place. One of them, Arlo Guthrie, and his daughter and granddaughter came out and sang a little piece of their heart. It was really cool. Their bunkers were different in the Midwest, but they're everywhere. And you're going to need them shortly, but I'm going to leave you with some advice. And this is really important, what I'm about to say. Even though you have a bunker and it's got gun turrets and you see them coming from on top of a mountain, this new movie, Fiora, which is 27 years after the Mad Max Raggedy Man, depicts why being mobile is important, even if you're in a bunker. And it's worth watching at the movies. Actually, it's well done, and I was impressed, and it opened my mind to the fact that even though I got bunkers everywhere, they call me the postman. That's what I did. Matt Stein and I used to do urban survival skill workshops because I'm a little Boy Scout, man. I know how to do it. And I can tie knots. I got to have 13 so it snaps on the neck, Knot theory is what I'm going to do with this new multiverse. What I'm going to do is use 10 string theory. That's 10 dimensions. I'm going to add an 11th wormhole that interconnects them. That's superstring theory. And then I'm going to be a little Boy Scout and I'm going to tie knots to them. And that will be, I'm going to use an advanced form of Kaufman's knot theory, virtual form. And that will explain how bilocation works. Now, there are several movies if you want to see it depicted. Lucy is where she takes this drug and all of a sudden she's everywhere. Okay, that's gone. Where you're doing it to all the different years at the same time. And man, examples only do it with one at a time, like Castaneda talked about. I have actually pictures of Don Gennaro flying down in Mexico. Don Juan was a composite, and Peter First and I went down into the Baja region. We found a shaman. I used to teach at Shiprock because I hold all the songs and dance. I medicine for the Sitka tribe out of North Vancouver Island. I speak Chinook, and I don't know, can't get there. Did you know that whale actually do like the Hopi and Navajo, where they medicine is your history. The songs and dances, what makes you unique from those guys over there. And that's what they call medicine. There is no medicine in Oregon. That was because of gold. They killed everybody. All the Indians on there's no legend. All they do now is casinos. Money changes everything. Cindy Lauper. And there I'm all over the board, aren't I? That's because I'm circular. I'm not linear like most people. I'm circular. I come in for the kill. And yeah, coming in. It gives you a sense of visual. That's what I do. Try to create a visual in your mind's eye, because that, once you see it, you got it. That isn't my physics that makes it real. And I know that because I'm a little brat kid. So I do. Want to see what I got for Christmas? I got this train set right there. How's that one for first introduction to who I am and where we might want to go? And Carl Sagan, well, I don't want to be in politics. A lot of them, and Michio Kaku, some of these others, hang out around me because I don't know what I am exactly, but my mentor, Dr. Stanley Krippner, thinks I'm going to go to Stockholm next year. And whether I am or not, that's academia.edu that does, well, I'm getting 20 reads a day now. And I'm getting at least 4 invites with journals every day, wanting my articles. Now, I don't have to pay. They'll pay me. Okay. Yeah. But I know I'm not interested in Stockholm 2-step. What I'm interested in is opening my bucket list for things I really want to do. One of the things I really want to do is open for Saturday Night Live. Yes. Wouldn't you love to do that?
That would be an epic episode.
You have no idea. I got to meet both Bellucci's when they moved here to Oregon. Jon Stewart had me on his TV show interviewing me on parapsychology. And who's the guy who plays the guitar now? That's Steve Martin. Played out at the Brit. I did 20 years as a volunteer at the Brit. As the nicest gift I ever gave myself. I don't hear music, I see it. And I can see things people can't hear. Little brat kid. Hey, where do we go there? Let's go to the graveyard and go spook people out. What's that? Where's that? Oh, it's in there over that one cross there in the picture behind it. That's
Oh, you're talking about over here?
No, down for over to the right. The left. Yeah, that thing. Yeah. With that.
It's
no, that's an alien form.
It looks like something. Here, I'll turn it so you can see it better.
He's right on it. Tell him it's hired if he wants to do a cover from him. But I got lots more books coming out. You think? I taught 11 years. That's 11 8-week courses in metaphysics. I am a physicist. Didn't blow himself up yet. Jack Parsons.
I have a quick question for you that I'm curious your opinion of. Is when we were talking, you had mentioned how you were quite influential in a big part of the X-Files TV show.
Yep.
And I was curious, one is your feelings on where that show went, but also the second rendition that they brought it back as, why you feel it, if you saw it, why it was so short, and do you feel like they cut it because it was telling too much?
Yes and no. When Bernard Shercliffe, editor of Time Warner and Mad Magazine, retired out of New York, he moved to Merlin, Oregon, and we basically met briefly. And he came out of retirement to teach me how to do a workup and a screenplay. I never knew how to do that. I've got lots of them. Wait till you see some of the new ones, man. And taught me how to do workup. So I did a workup, and he peddled it to Fox. And Fox said, it's got too many characters. there's 8 characters. I had like Iron Claw with my tracker. I had a group of people that each had expertises in certain areas, and we worked together as a team. Because remember, I said I'm really good, but I'm never the best at anything. And Fox wanted to cut down to 2 because they wanted a budget. They weren't sure it was going to work. So I came up with Scully, and I didn't feel really good about that, but I did. And then I did the first 8 episodes, and boom, yeah, it went off. Everybody wanted it. The problem was then Hollywood put pressure on me to move to Hollywood. And I said, no, I'd already done my tour with cocaine and swinging. Why would I want to do that? Don't get me started. And so I said no. And they brought Carter in for the next 9.5 years, I think. And I was the expert on set when they would do a forensics lab. Oh, yeah, there'd be a two-barrel microscope over there, and then you have a file cabinet over here. And, you know, because I did a lot of that kind of shit. And Andrea Puharich was one of my teachers at SRI. He worked for me like Bill Tiller and some of the other guys there. The new people there are not the same. Targan Putoff aren't the same. They came in 81, and that's when I exited, went into agriculture. But Andrea Puharich was brilliant, and I learned a great deal from him. I had other laboratories. I just, SRI, if I needed an interferometer or whatever I wanted. And if I didn't have it, then I'd go down JPL, Battelle, whatever, because I was an instrumentation player. If I touched it, it worked. You know, I had little voltmeters in my hand. Yeah, you know, you got to put that there. And I was really good at instrumentation. Because of that, I had access to anything on the West Coast. Dr. Carl Schleicher, the Nazi, von Braun. At that time, Carol Rosen, down the street from me, worked under von Braun, and now she does the secret space program. And I can give you an intro to her. She's hot. And I don't know anything about that. Schleicher was the one that did the creepy stuff, and like Antarctica, and the 19 sub bases there that probably Kennedy knew. I was there in 74 and saw the remnants of what was 19 sub bases, Nazis, that had been blown with nuclear. And further down was a Viking base from 14th century. Where's that in the history books? And even further down was this giant hole that went 100 miles straight down into the mantle. And we didn't have the technology to do that back in 74. And when the astronaut friends of mine I keep in touch with went down there, he said something woke up and they quarantined the island. I don't know what it is. Probably Nephilim. Who knows? I don't know. You know, but Nephilim were here in the early years, and with skulls everywhere. The one I talked about was I did a thing with BBC. They wanted everything. 1857, I think it was somewhere in there. There's a picture of a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania farmer taking a huge skull. And that was the same time that the Mormon religion started in Pennsylvania. And they wanted to ask me, what happened to the skull? I don't know, but I know what happened is that Baptist minister that lost his clock to, who's it, John Smith, went to Utah, dogged that man 10, 20 years trying to get his flock back. And his 2 sons ran the Smithsonian. And so you'll probably find that skull out in the ocean when they were trying to vet his father. I don't know. That's my guess. Cleopatra went down the Colorado, and there's these huge caverns in there where she's looking for copper. And these are all, sidebar, gee whizzes that I was doing in the 70s, not in 2024. I was like early on. What the hell is that? I don't know. Yeah. And
Talking about the copper, do you feel the Grand Canyon was a copper mine? And
there's something else going on there. We'll never really know any more than we'll know because we weren't there. And it could be, you don't know. There are anomalies on Earth. That's those so-called ley lines that we talked about. And the Bermuda Triangle and the Oregon Vortex, I think, are mini black holes going into the outer. And this woman just came out with Brandon. She's on Scotland, and she published her book on academia, big deal, about Stonehenge and cymatics, which, by the way, I invented in 1974. I moved the Menninger Foundation from Topeka, Kansas, to the University of Washington and added video feedback systems. And that was the birth of cymatics. That was in 74. In 79, I bypassed the use of drugs and was able to release any neurotransmitter I wanted using electric currents on the forehead. I broke a code, gave me access, and this neurotransmitter that gave me access, yeah, 5 others. And what I did with SEAL Corp and SEAL program is I gave 8 altered states of consciousness to the SEAL program, and it turned them into super soldiers. Imagine what could happen if man had access to 400 altered states. Not, man, no, not using it for escape and recreation, but changing the laws of physics. One of them I gave to the SEAL program is how to change your perception of time with breath control. And it took their martial arts to a paranormal level. Boom, precision. And that's what I do. I see things people don't notice and use them as possible variables to try to get reproducibility and repeatability. And there's another movie besides Lucy depicting that concept. This martial arts woman was called, it's from China, sorry. Everything, everywhere, right now. It's exceptional. Gives you the idea of you meeting other you in a alternate universe. And that's called the proton cloud, the space between when a proton is a particle, and it becomes a wave. And that's the new field theory I'm writing with 2 Russians, and I'm doing the math part, how it works. The DNA is a resonant cavity oscillator. I wrote that in 1974 with embryonic holography. And the reason it didn't get to go to Stockholm then, they classified it top secret for 20 years. Oh, it's okay. I didn't care about that part. What I did care about was that Deryaev and Popov quoted from it in 93. I took them to Stockholm. And the 2 Russians I'm working with worked under Deryaev. And that would suggest that the DNA is a resonant cavity oscillator. And while man, Homo sapien, has 2 rings in the DNA, Neanderthal had 3 and could go into normal, what we call space. Oh, did you know that? Boo. That's time for me to wake up. Wakey, wakey. Crocodile full of Croc Dundee. And you realize there's something else going on here. And I know I don't know what it is. But how did Carl Sagan put it? Want to go for a little ride? I love it, man. When you can open doors and you get the idea of the possibilities, that's my intent, leaving you with more than you had when I came in the door. If I can do that, leaving something better, I feel like I've done my part as a human. And basically, I'm not superior. I'm your lead scout. I'm wanted. I've been chased by Indians. I hope you have the wagon training now. Circle. Here I come.
I have an interesting question for you. And we were talking a little bit earlier on the phone about the DNA. And as you're talking about string theories and all of that, I started to wonder and started piecing together in my mind something of, so there's theoretically 12 or 13 strands of DNA, and we only have activated some, but I've heard people mention like we are many black holes of energy ourselves. So could these DNA strands, as we call them, strands or cords, be like the string theory and the string that's going out into the universe and our connections? And that's why
I'm type O negative blood, which means I have to eat a lot of protein meat, uh, and I have now kidney stones. O negative is more primitive. I don't get my special enzymes from beans and rice. And so I also don't need to eat a lot of hot food because I don't have germs in my brain. That's why the Thai and some of the other places, like spicy, kills worms. There's all kinds of varmints living in, like you're living in Gaia, a little sugar. And I can only imagine with soul. Soul is, I'll answer your question. What happened with quantum mechanics is that when you went from an analog to a digital system, you lost information. And that's what Heisenberg called the uncertainty principle. And that's why instead of working with space time, no, I'll just work with information. However, information is also not what you think it is, because the theorem in information theory states, quote, if you have enough information to ask a coherent question, you have enough information to answer it. Information is its own unity. And when you work with fractal mathematics, you've got Julia, May, and Mandelbrot formats. They're quantized, just like analog to digital. I can't get there from here. And that's why I'm now going to try to add little knots within the string, getting finer and finer. But I don't think there'll be a big toe to stumble on. Theory of everything. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know that. I sensed it. We haven't even begun because just about we've been here before, Vermont, whatever. Something else is going on. We get to a certain level, and they reset the petri dish. And what I want is out of this petri dish. Now, one of the things I do remember Crow telling me, she's feminine, by the way. And what happened is I had 1 hour to brief myself there. Just took me down level 8. And I opened the door, and there's this big long table with top secret documents. And I just started reading because I had 3 vault permits. I was above top secret. And I remember those are the little green tacks in there. Top secret badge, which is green on red. And there's what happened is I started reading 1 hour, the door opened, and I had no memory of what happened other than it felt feminine. She was inside my head. That's why not Peter First, who's it? Oh, God, I can't remember his name. We wrote a paper on synthetic telepathy. What you do if you use 0.3 to 3 gigahertz microwave band, heterodyne audio on it, and you hear it inside your head. It doesn't have to go through. That's how I thought she was communicating. How would we do that in space? See, can't use radio and broadcasting. How do you communicate? And so synthetic telepathy, they're using it now in a lot of things. 20 years later, but it doesn't work like that. Basically, aliens or the advanced form of man uses emotions to communicate. So I'm guessing that fat aliens like to eat pedophilia and creepy. The creepier it is, the more fat it's got on it. It's a metaphor, kind of thing. And that's why we try to stay at becoming a moral man rather than ethical. Ethical man knows not to cheat on his wife. A moral man won't. There's rules of conduct and where's behavior. And I sense that there's a lot more going on here that I really don't understand. Probably will never get there from here. I probably will never know. I'll, strive to understand. Why is this happening to me? You've been naughty. That's why. Bang. No, I don't know. And I love the way you grin. He's smart. Well, I can read your mind. I can, what is that called? What is that? NLP, neuro linguistics. Facial movements, things like that. There's a lot. That was one of the things I taught too, how to read nonverbal, and lots of things going on. These are tools where you use your mind. Magic with a K as a tool, not an absolute. My book on tarot that's coming out shortly has 22 stories in the big city. And you and I have probably 6 to 12 storyboards going on simultaneously. And Persephone having to go to hell each year, some kid taking drugs at Christmas, he's depressed. That's a metaphor. And once you identify your storyboards, you don't like the ending. That's what pathworking is about. Formally going to change the movie. And that's next. And that's my book on tarot. See, my take on magic and that is a little different. And I try to upgrade it like Crowley did. He had a big fight with the English and OTO, Ordo Templi Orientis. They offered, when Grady died, they offered me caliphate. Because I studied with Phyllis Seckler, Mildred Burlingame, and Helen Parsons Smith. I don't want to run a magical order mostly inhabited by a bunch of young kids trying to rationalize their use of drugs. Drugs were a tool to open doors. Like, I find it interesting that crabgrass, one of the most common plants, has dimethyltryptamine in it. Now, a drug is usually a toxin. Okay, like dimethyltryptamine in crabgrass is 5-alpha. You smoke it in a pipe. Okay, now the neurotransmitter is N, comma, and hyphen dimethyltryptamine. When you take a drug, it sees this toxin coming in, and your immune system goes into a red alert, and neurotransmitter is released. And that is what changes the laws of physics. And once you learn how to use that, now you're like carrying contact. Good to go. I'm ready to go. Let's go. And I want to, explore the possibilities. And I'm not Mueller. I'm weird. The weirdling ways. Just kidding. I'm tired. I've been really ill with these kidney stones. And you know what they did to me this morning? 4 times I've taken my 24-hour urine sample in. I get sonic blasting. And each time, you didn't use the right facility. I put it in Volta. I've got tenure in anesthesiology. What do I got? A little lab bitch telling me they can't take my urine. I got to go back. That's another 2 days left. I started kidney stones in February. Medicine is broken in Oregon. If I were under 65, I would have been in for a sonic blast in 2 days. But because I'm over 80, you can't make any money off me. Here it is, October. And worse, we'll give you Oxycontin for the pain. Yeah, really, man.
Yeah.
It doesn't get rid of pain, but what it does is takes you down to a level where you don't care. There's a difference.
Yeah. I remember when I had my leg surgery, they gave me oxycodone for pain, and I took one pill, and my body and everything said, "We don't need this.
You
We'll
don't
be
want
fine
this.
with
I
the
don't want
pain."
to hear about it. Yeah. Right.
And I realized what seemed like a day to me was a week. And I have a lost memory from an entire week from one pill. And I'm like, to this day, I'm like, whenever somebody mentions it, I'm like, nope, I'm not taking that. I don't want that. I want to
There it
keep
is. And that's why herbal pharmacy's broken, dentistry's broken, medicine's broken. And, you know, I've written some technical papers on ibogaine. And ibogaine stops all forms of addiction with one single use, including spousal abuse and gambling. Why would they not study it in America? Well, and the FDA told me, oh, it's not new. I got pissed. And what I did is I had a good friend of mine down in Homestead put 2 acres in just before the hurricane, climatized. And now they're doing formal studies. The bad news is you can't just take it. You have to have it done clinically because it's a near-death experience. But it'll change a habit, like spousal abuse and gambling. And I'm just going to assume you don't need 12-step because 12 steps is another form of addiction.
right.
Get a grip. See where I'm going with all of this? I'm ahead of you, looking for Indians so the wagon train can go peaceably into the. Good luck.
I wonder what your thoughts of the holographic med beds that are coming, or have you heard about those
I heard about the holographic
med beds that are supposed to be where lay in the bed and it restores your body and regenerates
Wait, it's new and improved, and it's cheaper than Amazon. And today only, there's a special discount for your wallet. Bullshit. All of it's bullshit, in my humble opinion. And the only person that can actually heal you is you. Now you are missing half of you because the inner part of your feminine, you have to seek a mate or something. Same thing, you get this idea, you have to match up. I don't know what's really going on. I see things and Sherlock Holmes, but I know that I don't know. And that's what keeps me young. By the way, do I see matey?
No, not really.
Goosebumps are how your body tells consciousness it's generating stem cells. Elixir vitae, that was Ming. And Andy Warhol, what do they call it? Where are my virgins when I need them? Goosebumps. You do that with your mind. What age do you want to look? Better than cosmetics. But wait, if you order 10, we'll give you April.
I want to take a moment, and you talked about being on, above Mars. And one thing I find interesting that people don't think about is we have satellites around the Earth to communicate all over the planet. We then go to the moon, and there's no satellites around the moon to communicate. And we say, well, we'll send the shuttle, but when it's in the dark side of the moon, we lose communication, and we're okay with that, apparently. Why have we never put anything in to remedy that? And why do you think the dark side of the moon is so being kept from
Pink
us?
Floyd, that's what I'm reminded of. And a bunch of people in the video part they made, marching like cow. Oh, well, you have choice. You can take the right door or the left door. But they both lead to the same place. Welcome to Baracha, honey. That was from the Great Race Man. I love that one. That was a great movie. They pull into this little ditch in the Midwest. Welcome to Baracha, honey. She's the waitress, bartender. I can tell you There's more going on here, my dear Horatio, than any of us ever dreamed. And I went out of this petri dish. I'd like to, and that was one of the last things I want to give you. A little snippet. It's in my brain what happened in that close encounter, but I don't have the whole thing. It's like trying to remember who the actor was playing in the movie Being There. Peter Sellers. If you don't know his name, you can't quite get it. One of the doors that opened said, was like this. It's 20 minutes of communication. It's like a lifetime of words. And it goes like this. If you were to choose an artifact to remember Earth by, what would it be? And if you chose the right one, you get to choose a star of your choice to complete your evolution. What would your artifact be?
I would say probably a quartz rock.
What's that?
A quartz rock, maybe, or a crystal.
I chose a clamshell, pulling my whiskers out because that's how primitive Phillips and Remington are. When you can buy a brand new razor for $40 or $32, you can get blades. That's how primitive this whole concept of going down here is. Right. Why would you shave this part and not that? And or your dick, and or your legs, or armpit. Oh, wait, female do, but I don't. Oh, do I? I don't know. Everybody's different. Like really, each of us aspire towards certain behaviors and values, and that's what religion is about. Fellowship. Nobody's wrong. Yeah, I'm right and you're wrong. That's crazy. The multiverse depicts all of it happening. Isn't that interesting?
And I'm curious, with all the work that you've done over the years, I know Hollywood sometimes depicts an accurate, like, little nugget of disclosure, we call it, but hidden amongst a bunch of stuff. And I'm reminded of the movie with, like, the Superman series movies where he always puts a crystal in and holographic images appear and information is shared. And I have picked up crystals before in a shop and been like, hey, I feel like I'm getting download of information. Don't know where it's coming from. So are crystals really storage devices?
There are 14 ways. I did my master's in solid state physics. Matter binds itself in 14 different ways. And that's another book I was going to write called The Magical and Ritual Use of Gemstones. That'd be 14 chapters. Like the first book, The Magical and Ritual Use of Herbs, was legal highs, how to use them in ritual for purpose. And then I wrote one on aphrodisiacs. Of course I did. Those are the early books. How to have louder and longer orgasms. The thought that occurs at the moment of climax happens. That's the secret Masonic code and purpose of sex magic. You punctuate it in psyche into matter using emotion. And then I wrote The Magical and Ritual Use of Perfumes and how you take several odoriferous molecules and enhance each other, which is an art form. And gemstones are next. 14 different ways. And each one opens different doors of possibilities. And you can see it this way or you can see it that way. Oh, wait. You can do it all if you want. And that's what I'm after. Because I want out of this petri dish. I've had enough of being Earth. And I have places I want to go, things I want to see, experience. And I don't think death is, that's another part of chapter. At the moment of death, there's a 14-gram weight loss in the body. What is that? Well, soul is and spirit, stag and the unicorn in the forest, soul and spirit, then matter, is a Christian concept. 14th century, that's the modern alchemist. It's classic. And I took how that works. Basically, there's the 14 grams is structured water outside the body and microtubules. And 14 grams, or 5 grams, excuse me, not 14, 5 grams. 5 grams, it's not urine. 5 grams of structured water is enough memory for 100,000 lifetimes. Really?
So where does it go?
Imagine that. Back into the proton cloud where the other life forms are. Listen, man, we don't even have a clue yet what's going on. Huh? And I know I don't know, but I sure like to ask those questions. And soul and spirit doesn't matter. That means there's a mortal and immortal part of self. And what you try to do is become more you, unique.
So I've heard people mentioning now they're starting to discover like soul memory, and so the soul
Yeah.
is in the energy field, and they're claiming it's in the aura field.
Aura.
Is the soul, and I'm
That's
wondering.
just one way of looking at it. Because I did studies with Keith Milton Reinhardt, Jack Schwartz, and Uri Geller. And when I busted Geller, that's when Andreas stopped working at SRI. Now, Geller could actually do things, but the problem was he was hanging around these big fat women with jewels and what. Oh, change my spoon and break my watch. And he started cheating because he couldn't do it on call. And I caught him cheating. But Keith Milton Reinhardt, now there's a thing that's interesting, and I'm going to give you a curveball here. This is going to love this one. It's paranormal. There's a billet reading is different. He was a Aquarian Foundation out of Seattle. Got a couple of people at Boeing after a minute did studies on him also. A billet reading is different than ESP, which is instinct and thinking with the gut. In mine, when he came into one of my classes I was teaching at the UW, he came in, did 102 billet readings, bang, 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 bang. And he only missed on 2. And it goes like this. I write on a piece of card, prove to me you're not reading my mind. What in there? He doesn't know what the question is. But out of nowhere, he says, in my mother's bedroom, the hope chest at the front of the bed, and at the very bottom is a letter written 2 days before you were born. Next. That's billet reading. Cool. How does that work? Okay, now here's the curveball. There's a group of ladies right now in history that are doing a lot of dead on like that. How do they do that? Here's the one NASA wants to know. Well, these women just said the AI on Mars just got turned off after 2 billion years controlling our solar system. And NASA said, if that's real, what would the switch be? It turned off the ad. That's easy for me. I knew that right away. You know what it'd be? When Betelgeuse was blocked by Nibiru for 4 days in November, the geometric relationship of celestial bodies, that is statistically impossible. You're moving way out there. And they blocked you for 4 days. Oops, there goes another rubber tree. That is what I used to do, the creepy. How's that work? I don't know. That's paranormal. Para meaning beyond.
And
Meta means beyond also. They're geek words, the Greek geek.
I have an interesting question because you were sharing with me before how you have religious studies and stuff. And so I'm curious your take on the fact that we now have learned the celestial quote star of Bethlehem is an alignment, not an actual star. And so, what's the significance of how long it stays visible and how often it appears in our skies?
The correct answer is, drum roll, please. Yes. Yes. Huh? Yeah, imagine that. My eyes go glaze over. Neurolinguistic. I just tapped you on the forehead. Interview me again, please. Sell my books. That's my only source of income, and I try to do better than you pay. How's that sound? I'm dead on. That's why the military still uses me anymore. I'm not old. I smell bad, rotting in the grave. And all I have is my Social Security, and I was set for life when a little girl died of leukemia in my arms. And then there's the Rick Miller that was doing herbs. I should have stayed with herbs, but I'm not interested in money. I was interested in writing. Herbs, 2010, I sold 150 truckloads all by myself in one season, Ponderosa pine cone. What color would you like your fire starter, Mom? Everything's marketable.
Purple. Let's go with purple.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. We'll bring in what's his face, the little violet guy, and black guy that sings purple. I have to, huh?
Prince.
There you go, Dancing with the Stars. There's more going on here, and every generation. That's why I like Saturday Night Live. It's really cool, and each generation is a little creepier as the kids get funkier. And I remember when Fridays came on out of Chicago, and Billy Crystal and a lot of really neat comedians came out of there, but it didn't last like Saturday Night Live. No, that's because it's got sick humor. And no, I'm gonna have Nurse Ratchet and Dr. Caligari come in and work your body like they're doing with mine now. This is crazy. And we'll go show you what creep is all about. You think Halloween? Trick or treat. Oh, wait, let's just forget the treats. Let's go straight to the soul. I know that I don't know what's going on, and humor is the only thing that's kept me sane. Truly. If I can't laugh at myself, you know what I'm saying?
I do, and I like to hold true to the mantra that laughter is the best medicine.
Yeah. Well, wait till the Planet Z comes in and the so-called 15-minute cities when we're out of food. I'll show you creep.
Oh, yeah.
Don't get me started. I gotta go. That's why we've got 11:30. That's 2.5 hours. It's going, cowboy. Oh no, 2 hours. Just like you said. Same as it ever was.
Yes, and you mentioned your books, and I'd like to give you a moment now to kind of share where you can get your books.
Yeah. I could use some help restructuring my old website the way it used to be, because Amazon is publishing a bunch of my shit without permission. And I couldn't get, even with God's help, a big enough rock to drop down Amazon. So I write at richardallenmiller.com, and I have a bookstore. And look at it, all the books. And I'm trying to get bargains because if you live overseas, shipping is more expensive than the book itself. It's just to Canada. I can ship a $24 book for $32. That's crazy. So I try to get bargains, and things like where you buy 5, you get a discount. I don't know what to do, but writing is my only source of income now because that's all I do. I do some consulting, but the military can't pay me. And I do that because I believe in what I'm doing, not because I need the money, which I do. But I'm living right now in Peyton Place. What I need, someplace in the country where it's quiet and I can write. And what I'm going to do is set up a foundation for children. I have a comic collection you'd die for. You have no idea. And I have over $300,000 just in laboratory equipment I use, trained SEALs. I have more on Indomet, German acupuncture, and I have autogen, state of the art. What makes autogen the best biofeedback in the world? It's the options of feedback, because you get into learning curve and you have to break it. So it's going, dropping your brainwave, going, just changing the way you hear it can often break things. I got down into Delta. I'm dead. And you talk to me and I twitch your muscles, right? Yes or no. I got that far down in my biofeedback. I meditate. That's why all your saints in history have stressed the importance of training your mind as a tool. And you need to take 1/10 of your life.
So I actually have an interesting question. Getting the feeling you've probably never been asked on any of your programs and shows is, for someone who's just getting into this type of information and everything, which books do you feel like that you've written would be the best source of being able to dip your toe in and then go from there and go into the other books
Yes.
without getting lost?
Yes, because everybody's different. Probably my Power Tools. The Power Tools is 5-book set. The first one, ESP induction. There's an altered state, not where you are, but just slightly off of there. Altered state, where your ability in guessing is 400 times where you are right now. That's the ESP book. Power Tools, which came in second, are the 8 protocols or altered states I gave SEALs to make them Supermen. And that non-local mind, how to do it using and then the 2 workbooks that go with it. The one gives some work I did with Tim Leary at Harvard. And then the second one is, can you live off the grid for 30 days? That's a good set. Using everything to survive. That's what IQ is, by the way. It's not how intelligent you are. IQ, Minnesota multiphasic person, all the different ones, CPI, all the different ones they use to measure your IQ. What it's measuring is your adaptability. And intelligence comes in many forms. Your worshipness. There's all different kinds of intelligence. And I know the difference. And what I am is good at surviving. I was 4 years old when they put me in the Shaolin temple when I was Caucasian. They were like the monkeys over in the Philippines. They hoard on you, not one-on-one. Like this is more like we're just going to eat you. That's that. And that's how quickly I adapted. I was world champion with double sword when I boxed in Beijing for the U.S. team. There were only 4 of us that won our match. The rest of them got eaten. The reason that I won my match was I took the referee out before I went in the ring. As I was going in the ring, I just did it. That's how it works. There's your dog telling you it's hungry and it wants to be fed now. By the way, on your dog, remember this. I fed my chocolate lab what I ate off my plate, and my lab lived to 18 years old. Even the high-end dog treats that you buy in a store, I had corn in it. That's what kills them early. And if you, their digestive system is real close to human. Eat what she should eat, or he eat what you eat off your plate. Mine lived to 18 years. I had to put her down for renal failure.
It's interesting you say that because one of our dogs for breakfast, he gets like raw bison or raw beef that like we would eat cooking it, but we give it to him raw because we're like, nah, they don't need it cooked. They're fine with it and they love it. Or liverwurst, which we eat as well, and we do when we like if I make a steak, if there's grizzle or a piece we can't chew, we're like, here, boys, we'll just give it to them.
You know, that reminds me of the movie Feed Me, Mama, Feed Me.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, there it is. Nice meeting you.
Yes. Well, we will definitely have to get you back on. And
every week, if you'd like, I'd like to start doing YouTube on specific subjects where I educate you on fullerenes, for example. I got part 1, but I didn't get part 2, Howard, because the guy that was doing it, like me, his 15-year-old son got leukemia, and it stops everything.
It does. And again, I know I said this before, but I'll say it again. My sincerest condolences for the loss of your daughter back then. That is a tragedy nobody should ever have to experience.
I'll tell you what I do know. Our children are possibly our single most important natural resource. Treat your children well.
Yes, that is very wise and so true. And at this moment is something that a lot of my supporter and viewers love when I do is I'll ask, of all of your years of experience and everything, what is a golden nugget in this episode you'd love to leave the audience with?
Yes. Laughter. Probably that's the most important thing I've learned, is to not be too serious about anything.
That is so true. I find the more laughter and the less serious, the less stress, and everything, no matter how difficult it becomes, just seems to flow by and pass by.
Yeah, you're fighting. Usually, you're fighting yourself. No, I don't do it. You're kicking and screaming. I remember when my grandmother was sitting in a tub naked, little boy, and she's washing my back, and she's, so what do you think Santa Claus is? The awakening, or worse, the quickening. Anyway, lots more where that came from. You call me when you want me, when you need me, yes, or when you have some questions, and we'll get into more detail. This was just an intro. You have no idea.
I am excited for that, and I will definitely be in touch and see about making future episodes. And I thank you so much for sharing everything that you shared with us. And I have to say, in the beginning, you said, I'm going to open your mind up. And I have to admit, you did not disappoint. I
brought my chainsaw here.
I could definitely feel my brain tingling and processing information.
Yeah, if you get half of what I said, you're doing good, actually. I move right along.
So
Who was that masked man? And that's when Tano said, "What do you mean, wheelie?" Johnny Depp is so cool. He sent a bunch of bikers up in a limo for me to take me down to his Viper Club to teach people how to do absence correctly. Delusion. Yeah. Your actual chemistry comes out of that in the discussion between the hot and the cold in the luge process. That's where you get your weird narcotic, that green fairy.
All right, so I'm gonna have to end this because I don't have the message on the top that tells me how much time is left on the recording. So I don't want to have it just stop recording in the middle of something profound. So
like they did with my urine samples today at the hospital. I'm going to cause trouble, and I don't like to do that. I don't want to do that.
It should be fair. It shouldn't matter how old you are. You should get the same.
I deserve to have a nice life. All I want to do now is get laid and kick back something and relax. And I can't. I'm in pain. I have to work for a living.
That 4-letter word.
Take care.
Thank you. You too. And I will be in touch to schedule our next episode.
Roger that. You talk. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Yes. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for reaching out.
You bet.